Welcome back to the TROM 101 series on our YouTube channel DIY Salvation. Today we'll cover pan-determined postulates. We'll start with a passage from Dennis Stevens's book, The Resolution of Mind, a Games Manual, followed by an explanation. It is a law of all games that overwhelming failure causes the being to compulsively adopt the pan-determined postulate of his opponent. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it? Let's start with what we've covered so far. Remember that a postulate is an intention. When you postulate something, you intend it. One's intentions, or postulates, can be very specific, but they all boil down to the basic four postulates of to know, to not know, to be known, and to not be known. When I intend to know something, for example, a subject of study, that's my self-determined postulate. When I introduce myself to someone else, that's a self-determined postulate to be known to them. I want to forget something, so I make a self-determined postulate to not know that thing. I want to hide something and make a self-determined postulate for that something not to be known. Are you following me so far? My self-determined postulate is what I intend. But I am intending my postulate to create an effect on something or someone else, right? And that effect I wish to create is what I call my pan-determined postulate. My postulate to know a subject is also my postulate for that subject to be known to me. My introducing myself to you, to be known to you, is also my postulate for you to know me. My intention to not know something from the past is my intention for that event to not be known. And my hiding something, making it not known, is also my intention for others to not know it. An easy way to understand this is to make a sentence starting with the self-determined postulate and ending it with the pan-determined postulate. Here are some examples. I want to be known to you, therefore you are to know me. I want to know you, you are to be known to me. I want to not know what happened, therefore it must not be known. I don't want what I did to be known, so I want you to not know it. Both the self-determined and the pan-determined postulate could be thought of as two ways of wording the same postulate. So why are we playing around with words like this? So far, I've demonstrated how my pan-determined postulate becomes your self-determined postulate when you are already in agreement with me. I wanted to cover this first, before I covered how things could go when your postulates don't agree with mine. Let's imagine I introduce myself to you, and you look the other way. I just made a pan-determined postulate for you to know me, but you are not knowing me. I ask you a question, and you refuse to answer. My pan-determined postulate for the answer to be known to me has failed. You decide the answer is to not be known. In both cases, a game could play out. I could continue to try and get your attention while you ignore me. I could continue to ask you the question while you refuse to answer. Your self-determined postulate doesn't match my pan-determined postulate, so there is a conflict. It could escalate. I chase you around the room, I corner you, and force you to pay attention to me. Now we have an overwhelm. This is my forcing you to know, and you force to know. My pan-determined postulate of must know is now you postulating that you must know me. But let's say you escape me. You've now overwhelmed me. You're preventing me from being known, and I'm prevented from being known. Your pan-determined postulate that I must not be known is now my self-determined postulate that I must not be known, if only by default. As you study the manual, you'll eventually reach a part where Dennis talks about how the word must has two definitions. One is have to, and the other is can't help but. When I overwhelm you into knowing me or being known to me, you can't help but know me or be known to me. Let's continue with the example of how my postulate of must know plays against your postulate of must not be known when I ask a question. I tie you up and torture you until you answer my question. I am forcing you and your answer to be known, and you are forced to be known. You must be known. You can't help but being known. But maybe someone comes in and rescues you from my interrogation before I get an answer. Maybe I just give up and let you go. Now you are preventing me from knowing, and I am prevented from knowing. There are two situations where the basic postulates are in agreement. To know connects up with to be known, and to not know connects up with to not be known. There are two basic games, or postulates in conflict, and that is must know versus must not be known, and must be known versus must not know. People try to get attention from those who ignore them. Those who want to be left alone dismiss anyone who enters into their lives. You want to know what's behind a door, and it's locked. People password protect their computers because they don't want anyone knowing what's stored in them. Some try to forget past events. There are those who love to expose secrets. These are all games, postulates in conflict, and they all boil down to must know versus must not be known, or must not know versus must be known. Let's read that passage from the book again. It is a law of all games that overwhelming failure causes the being to compulsively adopt the pan-determined postulate of his opponent. Does that make more sense to you now? You adopt the other's pan-determined postulate when you're overwhelmed. But Dennis does say something about how one compulsively adopts that postulate. How could this work? A woman wants a man's attention. She must be known to him. He continually ignores her no matter what she does. One day she takes her must-be-known postulate to an extreme. She exposes herself with a wardrobe malfunction made to look like an accident. Or she goes with a bolder approach like a deep and unexpected lip lock. Her pan-determined postulate of him knowing her becomes his self-determined postulate to know her. The image of that moment now dominates his thought. He can't help but know her. Then he has to know her. He calls her all the time. He stalks her. It's a compulsion. Similarly, let's say a man was pursuing a woman. He must know her, but she's playing hard to get, so she postulates she must not be known. She never returns his calls and doesn't even look at him when he's around. One day she breaks her resolve and says hello to him as he passes her on the street, and he looks the other way. He's forgotten all about her, what her name is and what she looks like. She's driven him into the must not know postulate, and he's there now for keeps. When you force someone to take on that pan-determined postulate of yours as if it's their own, don't be surprised if they start aiming the same postulate at you that you once overwhelmed them with as your pan-determined postulate. Thanks for listening today.